Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start vectors in this chapter. Okay, we are going to learn how to calculate different values in physics. Okay, vectors is such an important chapter. Okay, why? Because, for example, if you have two forces, F1 equal to 100 Newton and another force F2 equal to 100 Newton acting on a block, then your tendency is that, your tendency is that you tend to think that if somebody is asking you what is the net force or resultant force, almost everybody will say the answer or will give the answer as net force F net is equal to, they will give it as 100 plus 100, 200 Newton. Okay, but this is not a good thing. Okay, your net force is not 200 Newton. In fact, here net force is 0. Okay, so why this is happening means, okay, for this force there is along with magnitude, that means that number that you have here 100. Okay, direction magnitude, I am referring to the number 100, but along with that there is also direction. Okay, so your net force is 0 here. Okay, you cannot just simply add them like numbers and give the answer to be 0. One more example. Okay, let us say there is a person here. Okay, and if this person, if this person is traveling towards right by 5 meters, and if he is coming backwards by 5 meters, now in this case your displacement, if somebody is asking, it is 0. Your distance that is traveled is actually 5 plus 5, that is equal to 10 meters. Okay, so here my point is, okay, if you consider the displacement, okay, then your initial and final position will decide what is the initial, I mean, what is the final distance from the start point. Okay, so here your displacement is the shortest distance. Okay, your displacement is the shortest distance. Now in all these situations that you have here, okay, in all these situations that you have here, okay, there is a direction dependent factor. Okay, you go to one side and then you come back. Okay, here direction is important. Okay, so you cannot just add them like numbers and say, oh, how much is the displacement or shortest distance is. You cannot say 5 plus 5 equal to 10. Okay, so there are other things also, like for example, if you take one more situation where in which a person is going towards 3 meters right and 4 meters top like this, what is the shortest distance means, this is your shortest distance and it is 5 meters. So you cannot just simply say how much is the displacement means 3 plus 4 totally, that is equal to 7. Okay, here displacement is, okay, in fact 7, and here your distance, sorry, displacement is 5 and your distance I have given here, example 2 that I have given here, and example 3 that I have given here. Okay, so you must understand that, okay, from these examples, from this many examples that I have listed here, okay, you are supposed to understand one important fact. What is that important fact is, okay, you cannot just add everything like numbers, अन्नी numbers laga add cheyalem. Okay, so there are certain quantities which we define in physics which are dependent on direction. Okay, so avi physics lo unna konni quantities direction meeda depend avutayi. Okay, ala direction meeda depend ayye quantities, okay, such quantities which are dependent on directions, we usually call them to be vectors, and we try to do some operations on vectors. Okay, so now this is the first basic introduction. Okay, so now how you are calculating this and all, I will tell you. Okay, so I hope you got the context of this chapter. Okay, so for algebraic operations sake, we will define quantities and we'll classify them. Okay, algebraic operations in the sense addition, subtraction, multiplication and all. Okay, so in the first case, actually what you are doing is vector addition, that is f1 bar plus f2 bar. Okay, you are doing vector addition, but your answer is becoming 0. Okay, you are doing addition, but your answer is becoming 0. So how to add and all we'll see later. Okay, but I hope you got to know the purpose of this chapter. Okay, the purpose of this chapter is, okay, trying to understand why we are doing so. Now I'll continue further. Okay, so let us start with first. Okay, what are the quantities? Okay, so quantifying, if I use the word, that means I'm giving number. Okay, so now your physical quantities. Okay, physical quantities means quantities that you can measure. Okay, your physical quantities. Okay, your physical quantities refer to quantities that you can measure. Okay, quantifying means giving number. Okay, quantification is nothing but, okay, giving number. Okay, quantification is giving some number. Okay, number and meaning. Okay, giving some number. Okay, now, okay, if you take physical quantities, okay, these physical quantities based on origin. Okay, based on origin, that means how they have originated. Okay, based on origin means how they have originated. Okay, so based on the origin, your physical quantities are mainly divided into three categories. Okay, your physical quantities are divided into mainly three categories. What are those? I will tell you. Okay, first one is, okay, first type is fundamental quantities. Okay, first type is fundamental quantities. Okay, fundamental quantities means they are the most basic quantities. Okay, they have independent existence. Okay, so any other quantity you take, they are defined from fundamental quantities. Okay, so fundamental quantities is first thing. Okay, and second type of classification that you have is, I mean, second in this classification is derived quantities. Okay, based on the origin. Okay, you have two types of quantities. One is fundamental quantities and other is derived quantities. Okay, so derived quantities will usually come from fundamental quantities, and next type is supplementary quantities. Okay, next type is supplementary quantities. Okay, so you have totally three types of quantities. Okay, based on the origin. Okay, so based on origin means how they are originating. You are dividing it into three categories. Okay, first one is fundamental quantity, second one is derived quantity, and third one is supplementary quantity. Okay, now in fundamental quantities, okay, in fundamental quantities, your basic properties are, first one is mass, second one is length. Okay, mass represented by M, length represented by L, time represented by T. Okay, time is represented by T. Okay, next, current is represented by I or A. Mostly A is the term used. Okay, electric current is represented by I or A. Next, intensity of, okay, intensity of light represented by candela. Okay, next, quantity of substance. Okay, quantity of substance represented by mole. Quantity of substance is represented by mole. Okay, and temperature is represented by Kelvin. Okay, temperature is represented by Kelvin K. Okay, now all these quantities that you have here, okay, here I am referring to this mass, length, time, electric current, intensity of light, quantity of substance, temperature. So totally how many quantities are there means totally 7 fundamental quantities. Okay. So these fundamental quantities are the pillar stones for physics. Okay. So you define anything, okay, in that directly or indirectly these fundamental quantities will be there. Okay, you define anything, okay, you give, you name anything, okay, if you are measuring something in physics or if you are calculating something in physics, then in physics definitely you will have these fundamental quantities. Okay, you name anything, there will be fundamental quantities in that part. Okay, so how many fundamental quantities means there are totally 7 fundamental quantities. Okay, next, second category in this case is derived quantities. Okay, derived quantities. Now your derived quantities, okay, if you are taking for example area is equal to length into breadth. Now your area is derived quantity because your length unit is meters, breadth unit is also meters. That means breadth is also a kind of length. Okay, usually for a rectangle we are taking this to be length and this to be breadth. Fine, but this is once again a length only. Okay, you can consider this to be blue color one to be length and black color one to be breadth. There is nothing wrong in it, but area is length into breadth. So you are multiplying fundamental quantity of length twice to get area. Similarly, if you are taking force, okay, similarly if you are taking force, what is force? Force is nothing but mass times acceleration in a loose way, provided mass is constant. Okay, we'll see about it later in Newton's laws of motion in detail. But what is force? Force is nothing but mass times acceleration. Now if force is mass times acceleration, now your mass is fundamental quantity, okay, your force is derived quantity, and your acceleration is derived quantity. This is derived and this is derived. Okay, now if you are considering velocity for example, okay, velocity is displacement by time. If you are considering speed, speed is distance by time. Okay, we'll see the difference in detail soon. Okay, but remember that your velocity is displacement by time and speed is distance by time, provided there is no acceleration. If acceleration is 0, okay, then velocity is displacement by time, speed is distance by time. Okay, so like this you have these quantities are derived quantities. Okay, so you do some change, okay, you change something, okay, it is indirectly your displacement is kind of length, your time is t, so L by t. Here distance is also length and time is also t. Okay, so these are derived quantities. Okay, derived quantities, they originate from fundamental quantities. Okay, derived quantities, okay, they originate, okay, derived quantities originate from, okay, derived quantities originate from fundamental quantities. Okay, so derived quantities will originate from fundamental quantities. Okay, and supplementary quantities, if you are talking of supplementary quantities are defined purely for calculation convenience. Okay, purely for calculation convenience. Okay, calculation convenience. Of course, they'll give some meaning. You don't need to worry about it. Okay, for example, angle theta is measured between two lines. This theta is actually length by r. Theta in radians is, okay, length of arc. Okay, length of arc whole divided by radius. Okay, so your length is r times theta in radians. Okay, so supplementary quantities you define it for convenience sake. Okay, so here on so far what I've explained, okay, the story or conclusion is, okay, the story or conclusion is, okay, your physical quantities that you have are divided into three categories. First one is fundamental quantity, second is derived, and third is supplementary quantities. Okay, and fundamental quantities are totally basically 7 fundamental quantities that you have here. These 7 fundamental quantities that you have are, okay, mass, length, time, current, intensity, quantity of substance, temperature, and all derived quantities will originate from fundamental quantities directly or indirectly, and supplementary quantities we define it for calculation convenience. Okay, so this classification is based on origin. Okay, so how the quantities of substances ఇవి ఎట్లా ఒరిజినేట్ అయినాయి అనే దాని మీద ఈ క్లాసిఫికేషన్ ఉంది. ఓకే, రైట్. Okay, if you have any doubts, okay, you just let me know. Okay, so is the first basic idea. Okay, those who want to take the screenshot, you can take the screenshot of this content. Okay, next, now this classification is one type of classification. Okay, next, now for calculation convenience, okay, that is for algebraic operations sake. Okay, so algebraic operations in the sense, okay, algebraic operations in the sense I am referring to plus, minus, into, divided by, and all. Okay, your physical quantities, okay, as I have explained, okay, in the starting introduction I have told you, if there are two forces, if you are adding them, even though you are adding 100 and 100, you are getting the answer to be 0. Why that is happening means, okay, not all the defined quantities will obey, okay, just simple addition or simple subtraction and multiplication. Okay, in physics we have to obey physics laws. Okay, we have to consider direction also for certain quantities. Okay, so based on algebraic operations, okay, indirectly algebraic operations in the sense plus, minus, into, and divided by, okay, your physical quantities that you have, okay, your physical quantities that you have, okay, your physical quantities that you have are classified into, your physical quantities that you have are classified into, once again, three categories. Okay, once again, three categories. Okay, what are those three categories? I'll tell you. Okay, first category is scalars. Okay, scalar quantities. Second category is vectors. Okay, second category is vectors, and third category is tensors. Okay, third category is tensors. Okay, so your physical quantities are divided into totally how many categories? Means three categories based on algebraic operations. Okay, I'll write that very clearly. This classification is based on algebraic operations. Okay, based on algebraic operations, you are dividing these physical quantities into three categories. Okay, scalars, vectors, and tensors. Okay, now what is exactly a scalar, what is exactly a vector, what is exactly a tensor? I'll put it. Okay, so now scalars, okay, okay, I'll give lot of examples later. Okay, as we keep going in detail, you'll come to know of it. Okay, so scalars, okay, for scalar quantities, okay, only magnitude is significant. Okay, only mag means magnitude. Okay, magnitude is significant. What is meant by magnitude means number. Okay, magnitude is nothing but number. Okay, magnitude is nothing but number అనుకోండి. Okay, number associated with the quantity. Okay, so for this I can give the example as, okay, example as mass. Okay, so mass is scalar quantity. Okay, mass is scalar quantity. Okay, the example is mass. Okay, for mass, okay, you there is no direction like this. Mass m1 is 2 kg means, okay, whether there is no direction value here. ఓకే. సో మాస్ అనేది 2 కేజీ అని అంటే దానికి ఏం డైరెక్షన్ తో పని లేదు. ఓకే. సో మాస్ ఈస్ జస్ట్ సింప్లీ 2 కేజీ ఇఫ్ ఐ am గివింగ్. Okay, it is just simply a basic entity. Okay, so mass is 2 kg, that's all. Okay, now coming to vectors. Okay, coming to vectors. Okay, magnitude is important, direction is important, it must obey vector laws. Okay, it must obey vector laws. Okay, vector laws, that too it must obey vector laws of addition. Okay, addition especially. Okay, so vector quantities means they will have magnitude, they will have direction, and they must obey vector laws of addition. Okay, and coming to tensors. Okay, coming to tensor quantities. Okay, for vectors I will give you an example. Okay, for vectors, what are the examples means? Okay, velocity is a vector. Okay, for vectors you will keep a bar symbol beside the letter. Okay, velocity is a vector, it is represented by v bar. Acceleration, it is a vector, it is represented by a bar. Force, it is represented by f bar. Okay, momentum, it is represented by, momentum is represented by p bar. Okay, momentum is represented by symbol p bar. Okay, like this you can define lot of quantities. Okay, angular momentum represented by symbol, angular momentum is, okay, l bar. Okay, torque, okay, it is represented by tau bar. Okay, like this there are lot of physical quantities which you measure in physics, for which direction is significant. Okay, so for all these quantities what is important is direction is important. Okay, next, tensors. Okay, tensors. Okay, for tensor quantity there will be magnitude as well as multiple directions. Okay, multiple directions ఉంటాయి, but the thing is they don't obey vector laws of addition. Okay, tensor quantities do not obey, tensor quantities, they do not obey vector laws of addition. Okay, do not obey vector laws of addition. Okay, tensor quantities do not obey vector laws of addition. Okay, right. So now if you are considering this situation. Okay, if you are considering this situation like this. Okay, in this situation. Okay, so uh, if you consider quantities like moment of inertia. Okay, if you are talking of, okay, examples, I can say moment of inertia I. Okay, moment of inertia, it is represented by symbol I. Okay, this moment of inertia can be defined along x-axis, it can be defined along y-axis, it can be defined along z-axis. Okay, so in which direction you define, okay, in that direction you will have this moment of inertia. Another example is, okay, stress. Okay, all these quantities, don't worry what are these and meer worry avvalsin pannedu. Okay, so all these quantities definitely we are going to discuss in detail in the coming chapters. Moment of inertia will come in rotational dynamics, stress will come in properties of matter. Okay, so velocity, acceleration, force and all will come in mechanics. Okay, so each thing will be defined later, but for clarity sake I am listing this. Okay, next. Okay, so these are the fundamental quantities that you have here. Okay, so now you can take the screenshot. Okay, this is another type of classification. Okay, next. Next is, okay, why to do, okay, why to do algebraic operations. అసలు algebraic operations ఎందుకు చేయాలి? Okay, why to do algebraic operations. Okay, so why you do algebraic operations is, okay, that means even it could be combination. Okay, so why do you actually do it is, okay, to okay explain to explain laws of physics. Okay, why do you define algebraic operations? Means to explain laws of physics. Okay, what do I mean by laws of physics? Okay, laws of physics is nothing but truth. Okay, truth. Okay, truth, or you can, I can, truth to be truth that is kept in mathematical form. Okay, truth or event that you are capturing and putting in mathematical form. Okay, like what I can say is, okay, laws of physics is, bluntly speaking, mathematical expressions, okay, or definitions. Okay, mathematical expressions or definitions. Okay, definition is nothing but giving math to it. Okay, giving some formula. Okay, to explain. Okay, to explain event, fact, reality. Okay, you name anything, event, fact, and reality. Okay, so something is happening and you are trying to explain it. Okay, so if you are giving the formula of v bar equal to u bar plus a bar into t, this is laws of physics. If you are giving force F equal to m into a bar, this is also a law of physics. Okay, if you are giving p momentum p is equal to mv bar, this is also a law of physics. Okay, so to explain something, we develop laws of physics. That laws of physics will contain scalars, vectors, and tensors. Okay, here time is a scalar quantity. Okay, time is a scalar quantity. Acceleration is a vector quantity. Okay, acceleration into time will give you something. Okay, so these quantities, okay, are defined to explain laws of physics. Okay, these quantities are used to explain laws of physics. Okay, right? So now this part, okay, till this part, indirectly we have given introduction only. Okay, why we are defining physical quantities, how we are defining it, and all we have given. Okay, so this part, okay, will clearly explain, okay, why we are classifying it, how we are classifying it, and all. Okay, now we'll move ahead. Okay, right? So we'll continue. Okay, so we'll continue with classification. Okay, now once we have seen the classification part, okay, once we have seen the classification part, okay, we'll start with discussing each in detail. Now first let us start with scalar. Okay, so what do I actually mean by scalar quantities? I'll tell you. Okay, so scalar quantities are, okay, quantities for which, okay, quantities for which quantities for which, okay, only magnitude is important. Only magnitude is important. Okay, only magnitude is important. Okay, direction is not so important. Okay, for scalar quantities, okay, only magnitude, that is a number. Okay, direction is not significant. Okay, significant means it does not imply anything. Okay, it does not imply, or it does not give something meaningful. Okay, so in this case, okay, the examples I have given previously, but still we'll do it. Okay. Example is, I can say mass, I can say speed, I can say pressure. Pressure is actually force by area, but still it is a scalar quantity. Okay. I can give work, I can give energy. Okay. So all these expressions, okay, are examples of scalars. Okay. Now this we are, okay, this we are doing, okay, to signify, okay, this we are doing to signify or show, okay, this we are doing to signify or show algebraic operations, okay. Algebraic operation means addition or subtraction, okay. So what do I mean by this? I will tell you. So if I'm considering this algebraic addition or subtraction, okay, if I'm considering my algebraic addition or subtraction, okay, between scalars, okay, okay, between like quantities, okay, b by w means it is between like quantities, it is allowed, okay. Between like quantities is only allowed. That means if I have mass m1 equal to 2 kg, another scalar like for example pressure is equal to 1 Pascal, mass m1 plus pressure if you are defining, it is not allowed, okay. Like quantities means same quantities, okay. Like means I am referring to the word same quantities, okay. So instead you can add m1 equal to 2 kg, and if you have m2 is equal to 3 kg, okay. If you are adding m1 plus m2, you can give 5 kg, and if you are doing m2 minus m1, that is equal to 1 kg, okay. So here my point is between similar quantities, okay, between similar quantities algebraic operation is allowed. That means indirectly its unit must be same, okay, and it must be both must be scalars for addition or subtraction, okay, right, right. And you can just add them like numbers, how much values you have you can do it, okay. Next, coming to the next part, okay, coming to the next part, okay, those who want to take the screenshot you can take it. Coming to the next part, okay, coming to multiplication and division, okay, coming to multiplication and division, okay, multiplication and division, okay, coming to multiplication and division part, okay. So it is done according to the need, okay. So it is allowed, okay. There is no rule for multiplication and division that there must be between like and only like quantities, something like that, okay. So between like quantities and unlike quantities it is allowed. Between like quantities and unlike quantities, okay, between like quantities and unlike quantities it is allowed, okay. అది మనం like quantities unlike quantities మధ్య allow చేస్తాము, okay. Between like and unlike quantities it is allowed, okay. So now in this, okay, if you consider example, okay, speed is, okay, distance by time, right. So distance unit if you take meters, time unit if you take seconds, meters per second is the unit of speed. So you have defined divided unlike quantities, okay. Unlike means they are not having same unit indirectly, okay. Okay, reverse if you are doing it. So speed unit is meters per second, and time unit is seconds, okay. So here there is no much big issue, okay. But between left hand side and right hand side of course unit will be same, but I want you to understand that, okay, this is also possible between like and unlike quantities, okay, regarding multiplication and division, okay. So that's all for, that is all related to scalars, okay. So just hold on. So my point here is Okay, so till here you can relate to scalars. Okay, so conclusion is, okay, on what I have explained. Okay, for scalar quantities, addition and subtraction. Okay, conclusion that I want to write is, okay, for scalars, addition, subtraction only between like quantities. Multiplication and division, okay, between unlike quantities only it happens. Okay, multiplication and division between unlike quantities. Okay, all right. So this is the thing. Okay, next we'll go to vectors. Okay, so we'll go to vectors. Okay, now let us start with vectors. Okay, so now coming to vector quantities, okay, which is main core part of the chapter. Okay, so your vectors that you have, okay, your vectors that you have, okay, your vectors will have, okay, your vectors will have magnitude, okay, direction, and they must obey, okay, vectors must obey vector laws of algebra. Okay, and that too I write specifically addition must and should. Okay, why only addition we will see later. Okay, that you will see in higher level physics. Here it is not much required. Okay, right. Now what is the, okay, what is the need of vector? Okay, why we are doing this? Okay, why you are supposed to consider direction, I'll tell you. Now let us consider a situation. Okay, what is the need and ante, bluntly speaking, to add meaning, to what we express or explain. మనం ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ చేసిన దానికి, ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసిన దానికి మీనింగ్ కావాలి అని అనుకుంటే మనకి వెక్టార్ కావాలి. ఓకే, సో టు యాడ్ మీనింగ్ టు వాట్ వి ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ ఆర్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్. ఓకే, నౌ why we are doing vector, I will tell you. Now for example, let us say there is a person. Okay, okay, let us say there is a son and there is a father who is working in the field. Okay, so now for example, if mom packs lunch box and says, okay, son, you go and give the lunch box, okay, who is located at a distance of 5 meters. Then, if there are trees everywhere and his father is not visible, then obviously he can go, your son can go in any direction within this radius of 5 meters in this circular path, right? So there is possibility. Instead, okay, if mom expresses with direction, okay, okay, with meaning means, okay, if I say your father, okay, I mean that son's father, okay, is 5 meters, for example, 37 degrees with east, or 50, I mean considering this to be east, this to be west, this to be north, this is to be south. Okay, so then that person or that son reaches exactly the father, if that is the case. Okay, if you mention magnitude, if you mention direction, okay, magnitude and direction if you are giving, definitely it is adding meaning here. Okay, if you say, you can also write this as 5 meters 53 degrees east of north, also you can do it. Okay, there is nothing wrong with it. Okay, So this also you can do it. Okay, there is nothing wrong with it. Okay, so here my point here is, okay, when magnitude and direction both are given, okay, magnitude plus direction is there, okay, definitely it is giving more meaning. Okay, there is more meaning to what we express if we are giving magnitude as well as direction. But if we don't do it, okay, if we don't give this direction in this example, obviously it is less meaningful. Okay, so that is why for vectors we need to give magnitude, direction and all. Okay, now, okay, I am moving ahead. Okay, next is representation of vector. Okay, how you do it, I will tell you. Okay, so representation of vector, there are lot of ways. For now I will discuss. Okay, so you just simply in English, okay, if you are trying to represent, for example, force, if you are trying to represent, you'll just simply write force F bar. Okay, in English. And if you are doing in terms of direction east west and all, you will write, okay, geometrically. Okay, first wait, geometrically you will represent vector. Okay, you will see in detail. Geometrically you will represent it with help of directed line segment like this. In English you just simply write a letter. Okay, geometrically you will represent it with help of directed line segment like this. Okay, in terms of maths, okay, in terms of coordinate geometry, okay, if you are considering, you will write some ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap if it is a three-dimensional vector. And you can just simply in English itself to give meaning, you can say some 100 Newton northeast or something with some angle. Okay, and you want to give more mathematical touch to the vector. Okay, you can say 100 Newton making some angle theta degrees with, okay, with positive x or y axis like this. If you give indirectly, all of these will represent vectors only. Okay, so xyz axis to ichna vector. English lo we just simply represent it with help of a letter. Geometrically you do it with help of a lines, directed line segment. Okay, so angle wise in terms of xyz axis, okay, what I mean is you just simply take the axis and you can represent it like this. Okay, in terms of I cap and j cap you can write it, or within the plane of paper you can choose north, south, east, west direction and then you can give it. Okay, so indirectly all these are representations of vectors. Okay, now all these representations, okay, we'll discuss each in detail, but normally in English you just simply write the letter. Okay, first letter, if force, if it is F, you write F bar. Okay, and acceleration A bar, velocity V bar. Okay, and if you are using the word cap, okay, if I'm using the word F cap, it indicates it is unit vector. Okay, unit vector means magnitude is 1. Okay, we'll see about unit vector and all each in detail later. Okay, but remember that for now, if I'm writing cap, okay, it is unit vector, definitely its magnitude is 1. Okay, cap, if I'm writing, it is unit vector. Okay, right, I hope you have followed. Okay, now we'll continue further. Okay, so now, okay, coming to direction of vectors. Okay, coming to directions of vectors. Okay, coming to directions of vectors in directions. Okay, in directions. Okay, so there are lot of ways. Okay, so first one is, okay, in directions, the first one is within plane of paper. Okay, within plane of paper. Okay, always by rule you have to follow this. Okay, Always by rule you have to follow this. Within plane of paper, definitely towards right you have east. Okay, E represents east. Okay, N represents north. Okay, N represents north. Okay, W represents west. Okay, W represents west, and south represents downwards. Okay, it is south. South is downwards. Okay, now if I have a vector, okay, for example, let us say this angle is 37. Let us say the angle here is 37 with y-axis. Okay, on the top you have 37 with y-axis, on the bottom you have 37 with y-axis. Okay, now if this is a bar and if this is b bar, okay, if that is a bar and that is b bar, okay, now what exactly happens here I will tell you. Okay, within the plane of paper, okay, this is one method. Okay, method one of representation is what I am doing here. Method one is north, south, east, west direction. Okay, now if I say 37 degrees north of east, guess what could be your vector? If I say 37 degrees east of north, guess what could be your vector? Okay, guess it. Okay, so obviously if you are looking at it, north of east, that means to the east it is north, so obviously it is a bar. 37 degrees east of north, okay, east of north means it is definitely b bar. Okay, so 37 degrees east of north means it is b bar. Okay, now you take one more vector which is c bar like this. If this is making an angle of 60 with negative x, then this will make 30 degrees. So your c bar can be written as, okay, 60 degrees north of west, or same vector you can write it as 30 degrees west of north. 30 degrees west of north. Okay, so this is how you represent in terms of direction. Okay, so you explain it in English and then you try to put it. Okay, so that is regarding method one. Okay, in terms of direction. Okay, next, now coming to, okay, a representation in second method. Okay, in second method, okay, we will represent in terms of axis. Okay, method 2 is, okay, this is first method, okay, in terms of direction. Okay, second method is method 2. Okay, method 2. Okay, your second method is method 2 in terms of axis. Okay, method 2 is in terms of axis. Okay, in terms of axis, what you are supposed to do is, okay, in terms of axis, what you are supposed to do is, okay, if this is called as your first quadrant, of course this you must have learned in your 10th class trigonometry. This is your second quadrant and this is your third quadrant. Okay, so which is positive x and which is negative x, you must obviously know. So this is positive x, this is your negative x, this is your positive y, this is your negative y. Now in method 2, for 2D, okay, for two-dimensional coordinates we are doing it. Okay, so for two-dimensional coordinates, okay, what you are supposed to do is, okay, for two-dimensional coordinates, okay, so if you have a vector like this, okay, if you have a vector like this, then if I do a projection, then if I call this as x component, this part is called your y component. Okay, this ax is called x component if this is your vector a bar, Ay is your y component. Okay. Now to get the direction, okay, to get the direction in 2D, okay, two dimension, okay, how you will get the direction is your direction in 2D, okay, if your vector is given as a bar is equal to, usually you write it as ax I cap plus ay j cap, okay. If you are given like this in 2D, how you give the direction is tan alpha is ay by ax, okay. If you look into this triangle, tan alpha is tan theta is opposite side by adjacent side. So tan alpha is opposite side is ay, adjacent side is ax. Tan alpha is ay by ax. Alpha is tan inverse ay by ax. This gives for 2D vector, this gives angle with positive x-axis. This gives angle with positive x-axis. This is your method 2. Okay, in terms of axis, this gives angle with positive x-axis. This is for 2D. Okay, 2D. Now, if you know the vector in terms of 3D, what is to be done, I'll explain. Now you can take the screenshot. Okay. So whenever I ask you to take screenshot, I want you to copy down things in the notes. Okay, right? So in terms of 2D, this is the thing. Next, method 3. No. Method 2. Okay, within that, in terms of 3 dimensions. Okay, so in 2 dimension you have quadrants. Okay, in 3 dimension what you will have are called octants. Okay, so your entire space is divided into 8 octants in 3D. 3D means 3 dimensions, so obviously you will have 3 axes. So if you are considering this to be axis 1, okay, and if you are considering this to be axis 2, that is one is x, okay, positive x, negative x, okay, positive y, negative y, okay, and your third axis will be like this. Okay, so totally there are 8 octants. Okay, on the top surface you will have here 1, 2, 3, 4. You must have studied in face centered, body centered in chemistry, lattice structures. You must have studied. So on the top layer, you will have 4 octants. Okay, top 4 octants, bottom 4 octants. Okay, if you are considering the plane. Okay, so if you consider this plane like this, okay, that top plane it is in 4 quadrants and bottom plane is also in four quadrants. Okay, so totally, sorry, 4 octants, so totally you have 8 octants. Now in 3D, okay, so 2 dimension means you have only 2 components, one is x component and other is y component. In 3 dimension you will have 3 components. Okay, so if you are taking a vector a bar, okay, in 3 dimension your vector is given by a bar is equal to ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap. This is how you write your vector in terms of 3 dimension. Okay, and whatever is before I cap, okay, whatever is before I cap, it is called x component. Whatever is before j cap, it is called y component. Whatever is before k cap, it is called z component. Okay, so in 3 dimension you will have 3 components. Now if you are taking angle with x-axis as alpha, angle with y-axis as beta, angle with z-axis as gamma, okay, so your alpha, beta, gamma are your angles with, okay, xyz axis. Okay, so my point is alpha is angle with x-axis, beta is angle with y-axis, the two positive, okay, positive y-axis, gamma is angle with positive z-axis. Okay, now in 3 dimensional space, okay, if you are considering it and drawing this, taking this component and projections and all, if this is ax, if you drop a perpendicular, cos alpha is adjacent side by hypotenuse, so you'll get cos alpha is ax by mod a. Similarly, if you drop a perpendicular to y-axis, you will get cos beta is equal to ay by mod a. Cos gamma, you will get az by mod a. So where your alpha, beta, gamma, here mod a is representing nothing but length of hypotenuse. This is your magnitude. Okay, mod a is representing magnitude. Here also mod a, mod a, mod a. All these mod a's are representing magnitudes. And cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma are called direction cosines. Okay, direction cosines are nothing but, okay, angle made with positive x-axis, positive y-axis, and positive z-axis. Okay, direction cosines are nothing but angles made with, okay, I mean cos of angle made with positive x, y, z-axis. Okay, so these are your direction cosines. Okay, right? So this is how you give the direction in 3D. Okay, in 2D you will give angle with x-axis. You can give it, if you do x component by y component, you will get angle with this thing also. Okay, but so this is the thing. Okay, now in 2D I forgot, if you consider this to be beta, you can just simply take tan beta is equal to ax by ay. This gives angle with positive y. Okay, positive y axis. Okay, this you can consider. Okay, right? So in 3D, this is the thing. Okay, you have to give angle with x, y, z axis. Okay, in 2D we have seen, in 3D we have seen. So that is how you give the direction. Okay, till here end of direction part is done. Okay, now we will enter into the core part. Okay, so core part of the vectors. Okay, so now we'll start with, okay, geometrical representation of a vector. Okay, geometrical representation of a vector. Geometrical representation of vector is what we are going to see now. Okay, so in geometrical representation, okay, in geometrical representation, okay, so what is that we are going to see, I'll tell you. Okay, now in terms of English you can do it. Okay, geometrically in three-dimensional space, if you are taking a vector, okay, right, now this length corresponds to, okay, length of vector corresponds to magnitude. It is not equal to magnitude, it corresponds to magnitude. What it means is, more is length, okay, more is length, more is magnitude. Okay, less is the length, okay, less is magnitude. Okay, right? So magnitude is nothing but number associated with the vector. Okay, so I will talk about it later, don't worry. Okay, I'm slowly entering into the part. Okay, so first we are representing the vector, then we will come to the magnitude part as well. Okay, so now geometrically, okay, if you have a vector, this vector tail and this is your head. Okay, head or tip. Okay, so your tip, from tail to tip, a directed line segment, okay, will indicate the direction. Okay, tail to tip directed line segment. Okay, tail to tip directed line segment. Okay, tail to tip directed line segment will give, okay, will give direction. Okay, tail to tip directed line segment అనేది మీకు డైరెక్షన్ ఇస్తుంది. Okay, right? So if you are considering this situation, okay, so now if you are representing, say Okay, say you have a force of F1 equal to 10 Newton. Now, if you are representing it by 1 centimeter, so I told you length of vector corresponds to magnitude means, okay, here it is not equal. For 10 Newton, I did not represent 10 centimeter. Okay, 1 centimeter, if it is representing 10 Newton, then obviously if you have a vector of 23 Newton, then obviously you have to indicate it with length of 2.3 centimeter. Ante kada. So 1 centimeter is implying 10 Newton means, okay, obviously 2.3 centimeter is 2.3 times 1 centimeter. 2.3 times 1 centimeter is implying 10 Newton. Okay, so obviously you should get 23 Newton. Okay, so length corresponds to magnitude if I'm using the statement. Okay, I'm not referring to equality. Okay, I'm just showing it. Okay, length corresponds అని అంటే ఎక్కువ లెంత్ ఉంటే ఎక్కువ ఉండాలి, తక్కువ ఉంటే తక్కువ ఉండాలి. Okay, so you are supposed to have, okay, vector like this. Okay, right? Any doubts, feel free to ask. Okay, so this is coming to geometrical representation, where in which this length corresponds to, if this is some vector a bar, okay, mod a bar is this your length. Okay, your length corresponds to mod a. Okay, your length is corresponding to magnitude. Okay, right? Any doubts, feel free to ask. Now continuing ahead. Okay, next, now coming to the next part. Okay, coming to the next part. Now if you consider, okay, in terms of English representation, okay, right, magnitude and direction. Okay, so in terms of English, whenever you write a bar, okay, people usually write it as mod a into a cap. Okay, this is your vector. This vector contains two things. One is magnitude, and I told you previously also unit vector represents direction. Okay, so a bar, okay, it is read as a bar. Okay, and it is read as a cap. Okay, this part is read as a cap, this part is read as a bar. Okay, so mod a represents magnitude. It is always positive. Okay, magnitude is always positive quantity, it is never negative quantity. Magnitude is always positive, it is never negative. Okay, so mod a represents magnitude, a cap represents direction. Okay, now coming to two dimension in terms of I cap and j cap, if you are representing vector, if a bar is ax I cap plus ay j cap, okay, a bar is ax I cap plus ay j cap. Okay, your magnitude is given by mod of a bar is equal to under root ax square plus ay square. Magnitude of this vector means that number associated with it. Okay, so what is I cap means? I cap is x-axis. Okay, we'll see about it later. Okay, j cap will indicate y-axis. Okay, this representation we'll see later, you don't need to worry. Okay, so magnitude, if a vector is given in terms of 2D, it will have two components, only x component and y component. Ax is giving x component, ay is giving y component. Okay, so your magnitude of vector is given by mod a bar is equal to under root ax square plus ay square. And coming to direction, I have shown you tan alpha is equal to ay by ax gives angle with positive x, angle with positive x axis. Okay, and tan beta is equal to, okay, ax by ay if we are doing, that gives angle with positive y-axis. Okay, so tan beta will give it like this, tan alpha will give it like this. Okay, right? So this is your magnitude and this is your direction in terms of 2D. Okay, next in terms of 3D. Okay, in terms of 3D. Okay, a bar if you are taking it as ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap. Okay, so your magnitude is given by mod of a bar is, okay, ax square plus ay square plus az square. Okay, for three-dimensional vector. And coming to your direction, as I have discussed previously, your cos alpha is direction cosine, it is ax by mod a, cos beta is ay by mod a, cos gamma is az by mod a, where alpha beta gamma are angles with positive xyz axis. This we have clearly explained previously. Okay, so in English, in 2D, 3D and given, magnitude is always positive and it is the number associated with it. So in whatever way you represent, everything is there on the screen. How you write the magnitude and direction. Okay, so I'll put a box. For 3D, this is the case. Okay, for 2D, right side it is given. Okay, in English, this is how you represent it. Okay, so I hope you have understood it. We'll continue further. Okay, so now, okay, let us try to understand, okay, from geometrical meaning a problem. Okay, so now from geometrical meaning, okay, length corresponds to magnitude. Okay, let us try to understand in detail. Okay, so I told you, okay, length corresponds to magnitude of vector. Length corresponds to magnitude. Okay, length corresponds to magnitude is what is that you have. Okay, now for example, okay, we have seen if force F1 is represented by 100 Newton. I am giving you a question, let us say. Okay, it is represented by 1 centimeter. Okay, then I'll ask you these questions. Let us say you have F2 it is 500 Newton. Then how much is the length means? What is your answer? Okay, so 1 centimeter, if it is 100 Newton, obviously it is supposed to be 5 centimeter. Okay, you have to draw a vector of 5 centimeter. Next, let us take another vector whose length is 5.8 centimeter. Then how much is the force means? What is your answer? So obviously it is supposed to be, from the guess, it is 580 Newton. Okay, అంతే కదా 1 centimeter 100 అంటే 5.8 centimeter is 5.8 times 1 centimeter. Okay, so 1 centimeter is 100 means it is obviously 580 Newton. Okay, right? Next thing is, okay, another question. If x centimeter is giving p Newton, okay, x centimeter is represented by p Newton, then y centimeter will give a force of q equal to dash. Okay, come on, try it. I'll give you a minute. Okay, so in kindergarten, while you are studying 6th class, you must have studied basic logic. X centimeter p Newton అవుతే y centimeter must represent q Newton. Okay, so from direct proportionality, x into q is equal to y into p. Okay, so your q is yp by x. Okay, your q is y into p by x. Okay, if x is increasing, p is also increasing. So for direct proportionality, you will cross multiply and then do it. Okay, or one more way you can do it is x centimeter is p Newton means 1 centimeter is p by x, p by x Newton. That implies q is y centimeter. Y centimeter means y times 1 centimeter. Y times 1 centimeter is p by x. Okay, so this is your geometrical meaning. Okay, so little more extra point that I forgot to add. Okay, so with this you must have understood the basic ideas. Okay, now very important. Okay, what I'm going to explain is very important. Okay, uh, from here the core part for doing addition multiplication you will learn. Okay, so now let us start with different ways of representation in detail. Okay, so different ways in which vectors are represented. Okay, there are number of ways in which vectors are represented. Okay, but we'll do it in basic idea wise. Okay, so let us consider a situation in which you have an axis like this. Okay, there is an axis like this. Okay, this is your positive x-axis, this is your negative x-axis, this is your positive y, this is your negative y. Okay, now how you usually represent a vector means, let us say there is a vector a bar whose displacement is, let us say, 5 meters. It is some displacement vector. Let us say it is some s bar. Now this displacement vector, okay, in terms of plain English for some common man to understand, okay, you will just simply write s bar is equal to, I can write it as 5 meters. Okay, for example, let us say this angle is 37, then I can write it as 5 meters 37 degrees north of east is one way of representing this vector, where this part indicates 5 number 5 indicates magnitude, 37 north of east will indicate direction. Okay, this is one way you represent it. And second thing is, okay, if I am representing displacement s bar, okay, this s bar I can write it as, okay, 5 cos 37 I cap plus 5 sin 37 j cap. Okay, this is in terms of I cap and j cap. This part is your x component, this part is your y component. Okay, so I cap indicates positive x axis, j cap indicates positive y axis. Okay, so you are indicating in terms of axis. Okay, so this part we will see later. Okay, ఇది మనం తర్వాత చూస్తాం. Okay, but Remember that in this way, in terms of I cap and j cap, you can represent it, and this is how you represent it. Okay. Now, next is, okay, next idea is, okay, writing when coordinates are given. How to write in terms of, how to write in terms of I cap and j cap. Okay. Okay, when coordinates are given. Okay, when coordinates are given, how to write vector in terms of I cap and j cap. How to write in terms of I cap and j cap when coordinates are given. Okay, now when coordinates are given in 2D, how you write it? In 3D, how you write it? Okay, so in 2D, how you are going to write it? In 3D, how you are going to write it? So in 2D, if you have the coordinates as x1, y1, and next coordinate as some x2, y2, okay, if this is point A and if this is point B, in 3D, let us say all the three coordinates are given: x1, y1, z1, x2, y2, z2. Okay, so how you represent in 2D and 3D, I'll write here. If I am writing AB bar, A is tail, B is head. First tail, then followed by head. Okay, so AB bar is given by head coordinates minus tail coordinates. So x2 minus x1 I cap plus y2 minus y1 j cap. Okay, and coming to this part, AB bar is x2 minus x1 I cap plus y2 minus y1 j cap plus z2 minus z1 k cap. Okay, so this is your, okay, AB bar to the left and AB bar that you have here in the right. Now for this part, obviously magnitude is nothing but distance between those 2 points. That is mod of AB bar is under root x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square, and direction, as you know, it is x component by y component. This part is your x component and this part is your y component. And coming to magnitude here, okay, so mod of AB bar is under root x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square plus z2 minus z1 whole square is your magnitude in 3D. And direction, we have seen tan alpha is y component by x component. You will get angle with x axis. Here cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma, you can define it. That will give you the exact location in terms of direction. Okay, right? So this part is very important. Okay, in maths, three-dimensional geometry will be related with vectors, and it is a very important topic. Okay, so which you will be able to do it. Okay, next. Now here your cos alpha is, okay, so I'll continue. Okay, so in the next part, okay, now relating direction cosines. Okay, relating direction cosines. Okay, I'll explain something. Okay, observe carefully. Now we have given cos alpha is ax by mod a. Okay, you have given cos alpha as ax by mod a. Okay, and cos beta is ay by mod a. Cos gamma is az by mod a. Now you just simply do
cos square alpha, that will give you ax square by mod a square. Cos square beta, that will give you ay square by mod a square. Cos square gamma, if you do, that will give you az square by mod a square. Now we do know that, okay, mod a is what? Under root ax square plus ay square plus az square for a vector. అవునా కదా? అంతే కదా, రైట్? సో now you add all this, okay, cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma will give you ax square plus ay square plus az square by mod a square, which is nothing but mod a square by mod a square, that is equal to 1. So from this the conclusion is sum of squares of cosines is equal to 1, direction cosines. Now this can also be written as 1 minus sine square alpha plus 1 minus sine square beta plus 1 minus sine square gamma is equal to 1. From here 3 minus 1 is equal to sine square alpha plus sine square beta plus sine square gamma. So that will give you 2 is equal to sine square alpha plus sine square beta plus sine square gamma. So that is finally it is 2. Okay, right? So this is your final relation between direction cosines. Okay, right? Next, now okay, let us take a short break. From here we will continue. Okay, so till here your first lecture. Okay, only basic relations. Okay.